Oh my God. Turn on the mic. I'd like to call the Municipal Council meeting of the District of Lunenburg to order. It's Tuesday, June the 10th at 6 p.m. Welcome to those who've joined us in the gallery, and we look forward to your participation in the meeting, as I know some of you wish to speak. Would like to begin our meeting by acknowledging that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the traditional territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Are there any announcements, acknowledgements, or recognitions from the council members? I would just like to congratulate the Broad Cove Community Hall and their committee and organizers of their 175th celebration on Saturday. It was a real show of community spirit and really speaks to the sense of belonging and strength of belonging that people feel in the Broad Cove area to their hall and to the people that share it as a community. It was a lovely event. Any other comments from councilors? Okay. I'd like to acknowledge that Men's Mental Health Awareness Day is Friday, June 13th. This is a day to bust the stigma that discourages men from talking about their mental health and seeking help if problems emerge. While rates of mental illness are comparable between men and women, men are less likely to recognize, talk about, and seek treatment for their illness. Yet up to 10% of men experience paternal postpartum depression, and 80% of people who die by suicide are men. We should all be aware that men's symptoms of depression may include physical pain, anger, or irritability. Intervening early is the best predictor of a healthier adulthood, so the mental health of adolescent boys and young men needs more attention and resources. We encourage everyone to learn more about the signs and symptoms of mental health problems and talk honestly with the men in their lives. On this day, we are reminded that mental illness doesn't discriminate, and everyone should feel comfortable seeking help. At the beginning of our council meetings, we do provide an opportunity for public input, and that is where we are on our agenda. It is a really important time for the public to engage with council, and residents are welcome to use this portion of our meeting to share their thoughts with council on municipal topics that are important to them. We ask that all statements be respectful of other members of the public, staff, and council, and we ask that when you come forward, you provide your name and your civic address. If you have a question or concern, we'd like to have your email address so that we can follow up. The chair, that would be me, will respond to questions that can easily be answered. It is at my discretion to make that determination. If your question or concern cannot be answered by myself, then it will be handled as follows. We will email you with an answer to your question or a response to your concern, and we may also want to contact you to provide more information. We will provide a summary of answers and responses at a future council meeting under business arising from the minutes, and this will form part of the public record. In this way, we will provide the answers or responses to not only the resident that brought them to our attention, but to all the residents of Modal. The residents that asked the question or brought forward the concern will be advised when their matter is being addressed by council. Statements and questions related to personnel or operations can be emailed to the Chief Administrative Officer, Tom McEwen, and we allow 15 minutes for public input. And as I understand, I think there's at least 2 people who wish to make public input. Is there more than 2? Okay, we have 4. All right. So we divide the 15 minutes up. I'm not going to be like ruthless with that, but I won't cut you off, but I hope that you can respect the 4 minutes because we want to hear from everyone. So when you come to the podium, and I think Deputy Mayor Vino has shown you, but we'll help you if you want to adjust the podium height. And please use the microphone because this is being recorded and we want to have public record of your comments. So at this point, I would ask for public input. So I'm not sure if you've sort of sorted it out between yourselves who would like to speak. Okay, Janice. Just a reminder to introduce yourself and where you live. And you have 4 minutes.
Okay, my name is Janice Wilson. I live at 37 East Dalhousie Road, Annapolis County. And I'd like to thank you all very much for giving me a few minutes to talk. I'm a little bit nervous. Where I live is about 8 kilometers from the Lunenburg County line. I have 260 acres of land designated for uranium exploration and mining. So you may be wondering what that has to do with you. Well, because my land borders Lower 60 Lake, it is part of the LaHave watershed area, and I would provide a copy of that. If my water and land gets contaminated, there's a good chance it's going to come downstream to you to contaminate your water, as contamination can reach up to a 400-kilometer radius. I'll provide that as well. And no mining company can truthfully guarantee us that there won't be contamination. Accidents happen. Unlike other mining, uranium is radioactive, and waste from mining remains that way for thousands of years. Now, I'm not a doctor or a scientist or a geologist. I'm just a small forest technician who is a good steward of my land. But since this ban on uranium mining was lifted, I have had an opportunity to talk with lots of folks, and some are in those professions, not paid by the government or by mines. And the story is the same. Mining uranium is unsafe and a bad idea in Nova Scotia. So I'm asking your council to do what they can to help protect our community and the LaHave watershed area from uranium exploration and mining. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Janice. Who would like to come next? Just a reminder to introduce yourself and where you live.
My name's Teresa Gallant, and I live in New Germany, 4799 Highway 10. I feel the same way about the uranium mining. Oops. Too close? Oh, go closer, okay. I actually have a question. I'd like to know what this council, what do you feel about it? And what can be done about it? I realize that the ban has been lifted by our premier at his choice, but I'm wondering what this council, every one of you, can do, and how do you feel about what's going to happen to our environment? They say that it's just exploration, it's not really mining, it's the same thing. Once you disturb that uranium, it becomes the radioactive problem that we're all going to have, every one of us, because surely we're all within 400 kilometers of that site. So I'd really appreciate some feedback about that.
Well, we hope you'll stay for the rest of our meeting. We will be discussing the uranium issue right after the conclusion of public input, the approval of minutes, and it'll be our first agenda item. So you'll hear there the discussion and what our first steps are in dealing with this. The second part of it is that next week at our policy and strategy meeting, we're having a full staff report on updating us on the plan here in the province and what's been going on. And we've been getting feedback from residents, so that will all be captured in that report as well. But the first initial discussion will happen tonight.
That's great. I will be staying. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Helmer?
Thanks so much. It's great to see everybody tonight, and I'm here as a landowner and taxpayer resident of Nova Scotia, but also 113 Tannery Road, Petite Riviere. I have a small parcel of woodland also on the Mush Mush watershed, but we're at the bottom of the watershed of the Petite. It's my request to council and staff, whom I admire the work of the sustainability ethic and approach to climate and to land use and to many of the forward-thinking initiatives that this group has put forward over the years and continues to advance, that this group respectfully follows the leadership of the Pictou County Council and asks for a pause in the provincial timeline, which seems accelerated and is actually causing more problems than it's solving at the moment for communities, including my own. And I would suggest that the precautionary principle apply well here and is not being followed, that being the idea of proving that it's safe and clearing risks and clearing, gaining a social license prior to fast-tracking an approval process that seems was not on the horizon for many Nova Scotians before January. So I'll just add that I do have some science background, and I have worked at the national level on pollution prevention, and this kind of thing, fast-tracked without enough study, is very risk heavy, and I know that this group is probably more risk averse to something like that. So I wish you well in your discussions, and implore this group to ask for a pause on the provincial timeframe. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Guptill?
A little difference in the height here.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak to Council on uranium exploration and mining. And my concerns are regarding water contamination, which I know is under the auspices of municipalities. My name is Beth Guptill. I'm a retired family physician. I live at 642 Lower Branch Road, and I'm in District 5. As a physician, I have grave concerns regarding the contamination of our drinking water from uranium exploration and/or mining in the East Dalhousie area. In a recent facts sheet produced this month by the Canadian Association of Physicians for the Environment, of which I am a member, I quote some of this. Uranium is unlike other minerals mined in Nova Scotia. It is a heavy metal that is both chemically toxic and radioactive, decaying over time to produce even more toxic and more radioactive materials. Mining would mean unearthing not just the uranium, but many of the extremely toxic byproducts. Even exploration of uranium deposits can release harmful radon gas in the environment and mobilize uranium from stable rock into highly soluble form that contaminates wells. The safest place, the physicians say, for uranium is underground in its stable, undisturbed deposits. The health risks are many and include damage to brain, lungs, liver, kidney, and bones, cancers, most commonly lung cancer, but also leukemia, tumors of the breast, thyroid, bone, digestive organs, and skin. Also causes premature aging and is very dangerous to pregnant women and their babies, causing birth defects, including in the brain and spine, premature birth, complications for mothers and babies, and increased infant death. Uranium mining leaves toxic legacies of radioactive tailings and waste rock and contaminated groundwater, which have to be dealt with and monitored in perpetuity. Unfortunately, mining companies do not have a good track record for cleaning up mining waste in Nova Scotia. The province does not regulate mining companies adequately or enforce regulations that are in place. There are two forms of mining in of uranium. The first is open pit mining. That is what is employed in Saskatchewan, which is the only active uranium mining done in Canada at this time, 600 kilometers away from any community or town. The open pit mining, 85% of the radioactivity mined in the open pits is left as waste tailings. Historically, these were initially left above ground. They are now mostly put in ponds, artificial ponds, or put down below ground in caverns. This waste is then left to leach through into groundwater and watersheds. And of course, this radioactivity lasts for thousands of years. The second mining method is in situ leaching method, where holes are drilled and explosives or hydraulic fracking is done to open up paths in the rock for a solution that is pumped down the drill hole to extract the uranium. The solution is then pumped back up to be processed. However, 30 to 40% of the dissolved uranium remains underground, and now it's easy for it to move through the rock and into the natural water aquifers, underground ponds, which are in danger of being contaminated with the dissolved radioactive uranium and the toxic heavy metal byproducts, including arsenic. In turn, the local groundwater and wells and watersheds for unknown distances are in danger of contamination. Harrietsfield, just 20 minutes north of Halifax, is an example to Nova Scotians. This community underwent just exploration for uranium in the late 70s. Drilling only was done. Initially, 40 private wells were found contaminated with uranium, and subsequently, 43 other wells were found contaminated with heavy metals. Two lakes, Lake Shea and Moody, have now abnormally high levels of iron and aluminum. In 2017, a report to HRM Environment and Sustainability Standing Committee regarding Harrietsfield water safety noted that for the past 7 years, 2 orders from the Environment Minister had been ignored by the mining companies, and over the past 10 years, there had been no monitoring. That was 18 years ago. CBC has found multiple breaks of environmental regulations in Nova Scotia mines. French River watershed has been found to have contamination, and the Nova Scotia Environmental Network reports the government has done nothing. At a recent public presentation by the Nova Scotia Environmental Network, Tina Northrup, a lawyer working with East Coast Environmental Law, noted that Nova Scotia does not have the capacity to monitor or enforce mining companies, which can lead to disaster. Brad Redden, who previously worked in uranium exploration and mining industry, agrees that the Nova Scotia Department of Natural Resources does not see itself as a regulator. And with uranium, he says, you need very tight regulation, lots of inspections, and good procedures in place. In addition, Dr. Stephen Emerson, a geophysicist interviewed recently by the Halifax Examiner, who has testified on mining issues to U.S. Congress, European Union, and the UN, states that the high annual rainfall in Nova Scotia makes uranium mining unsafe in this province. This much rain and our history of violent storms greatly increases the chances of watershed contamination. Uranium mining was done in Virginia, but now has been banned due to Virginia having an annual rainfall of 1,000 millimeters. Nova Scotia has more, at 1,300 millimeter annual rainfall. In summary, I'm concerned that exploration, open pit mining, or in situ leach mining all put our water at risk of uranium and other toxic heavy metal byproduct contamination. I'm concerned that exploration or mining in East Alhazi will contaminate local private wells, those of surrounding agricultural properties, contaminating our food, and put the LaHave River watershed at unknown risk, potentially affecting many more folks of the Lunenburg municipality. Mining companies have historically chosen to explore in small rural communities that have limited resources to oppose these health concerns. Pictou Municipal Council is leading the way in asking the provincial government to put a pause on exploration till more information can be gathered. For the sake of our own watershed safety, I believe we can make a difference in joining Pictou Municipality in opposition to this unsafe plan. Our provincial government historically has not regulated the mining industry or significantly supported contaminated communities. I agree with the Canadian Association of Physicians for the Environment and their statement that the government has not taken the time to weigh the health or economic implication of thousands of years of monitoring our uranium exploration and mining, and the risk of uranium contaminating our water, our air, our bodies. Once uranium is in our water, we are left holding the bag. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else for public input this evening? Okay, we will move on, and as I said prior to Ms. Gallant's comments, we will be dealing with the uranium issue earlier in our agenda. And we should have a motion to approve our agenda, and I am suggesting that we move 12.1, which is councillor concerns, to be number 10, just after consideration of correspondence. And we'll have it as the first item. It's been moved by councillor Moore and seconded by councillor Bell that the agenda be approved with those with that change. All those in favor signify by raising their hands. Those opposed, motion is carried. We have minutes from May 13th. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, I'll approve those minutes as circulated. We have minutes from May 27th. Are there errors or omissions? Seeing and hearing none, I'll declare those minutes approved as circulated. Do we have business arising from the minutes? Not today. No awarding of tenders. Presentations. We will move to 12.1. Councillor Smith, you're going to lead us on this.
Thank you very much. And first of all, I'd like to thank members of the public who've taken time out to come and speak into public input on this issue of uranium exploration and mining, especially in East Dalhousie, which is in the LaHave River watershed. I know for some of you, your lives have been turned upside down by this, and I appreciate how much it has kind of taken over your lives, the organizing, the speaking up, the sign making, the decal making, and I really appreciate you being here. Really, I'm kind of baffled. I don't know how in just a few short months we have gone from a 40-year ban on uranium mining and exploration, which was based on extensive study and public input, to repealing the ban that was legislated, to adding uranium to the critical minerals list, and then to people hearing on the news that the province has issued requests for proposals for uranium exploration in their backyards. The ban was in place as recently as February. And here we are in June, 4 months later, and the RFPs are due tomorrow in 3 areas of the province. Over the past few weeks, I've had the chance to speak with landowners, Mi'kmaq rights holders, geologists, business people, doctors, young people who hope to raise their families here or farm, people who have chosen this area for retirement. I've even spoken to local people who have experience in uranium mining in Newfoundland and Saskatchewan. No one can believe how fast the province is moving on this, and many feel that that is by design. Calls and emails are unanswered, or people are getting standard talking points in response. I haven't heard of a single MLA showing up at the meetings in East Dalhousie, River John, Tatamagouche, Upper Vaughan, Lake Paul, Wolfville, These events are drawing hundreds of concerned citizens and experts. And I also attended the Zoom webinar that Dr. Guptill mentioned. It was the largest virtual meeting that the Environmental Network of Nova Scotia had ever hosted. The concern and the interest is very great. So I'm not going to go into all the concerns that have been raised. I think in public input, people raised those, and we're going to talk about them more next week. But I do want to quote from a 2020 judgment in which the Supreme Court upheld Virginia's right to ban uranium mining. There really can be no argument that a moratorium on uranium mining, which is an inherently dangerous activity with potentially dangerous interdict effects, achieves the Commonwealth's rightful duty to protect the public from injury and to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizenry. I just wanted to quote that because I find that people's concerns are being dismissed. Oh, it's perfectly safe. It's perfectly fine. This is an industry we can trust. Just trust us. But these are very reasonable concerns. And it's totally reasonable for people to be concerned for their water, their health, and what this is going to cost future generations. And the Assembly of Nova Scotia Mi'kmaq Chiefs has also been very clear. They do not support the lifting of the bans on fracking or uranium, and they have not been adequately consulted. So the motion I'm bringing forward in a moment is not about whether uranium exploration and mining should or shouldn't happen in Nova Scotia. We have a staff report coming next week, which I'm really looking forward to. And as we've discussed before, when we have more facts in front of us, we may want to take a for or against advocacy position. But my ask for now is that on the day before the RFPs are due, we join other municipalities who are calling on the province to pause the RFP process until we can all become more informed and proper consultation can be done with the public and the Mi'kmaq. So the municipality of Pictou County Council passed a motion calling for the pause on June 2nd. The County of Annapolis Council passed a similar motion this morning. And tonight, a similar motion is going before West Hants Council. So should I put the motion on the floor? To the mayor and members of council, I move that municipal council requests that the province pause the RFP process for exploration of uranium in East Dalhousie, which is in the LaHave River watershed, to allow for sufficient time for meaningful consultation with First Nations and the public. I so move.
I have a seconder, seconded by Councillor Moore. Is there discussion from councillors who wish to speak to it? Councillor Oikel, Bell, Reinhardt, Moore, Burns, Deputy Mayor.
All of us. Everyone wants to have something to say. Totally agree with this, of course. And I'm just wondering, though, like, we can do it for East Dalhousie, but my concern is for the whole province. Like, our province is too small, too much water, too many lakes. If you fly over it, there's lakes everywhere. And uranium mining just does not need to be done in Nova Scotia at all. Not at all, over the whole province.
So what we're asking for is the pause, and I think Councillor
I realize the pause.
And coming from this group, from our council, it has really strong relevance to document the area that affects us. I think that carries weight, and I think that was in the consideration of Councillor Smith.
Okay.
Okay? Councillor Bell and then Reinhardt.
Thank you. I had spoke earlier that this was a provincial matter. It was not a municipal responsibility to debate this. However, when the province acts dangerously or without regard for public safety, then I feel that we do need to take up that slack and try to enforce the fact that the public need to have input into this matter. During the 2024 election campaign, Houston made absolutely no mention of this issue, so people were caught off guard. Surely to goodness he must have had some thought in the back of his mind at that time, but just forgot to tell us. The Houston government was elected in 2021, and in the 4 budgets that they've introduced, all have been deficit budgets, so therefore they have a need for money, and they're being entertained by big mining companies that, hey, this might pay off your debts. This reminds me of a gambler or an addict. The state of Virginia in the USA does uranium mining. The province of Saskatchewan does uranium mining. But they both have far less rainfall than Nova Scotia. In the last 3 years, Nova Scotia has had several extreme rainfall events. Open pits from uranium mining will allow mining material or residue to run, resulting in possible contamination of farmlands, water supplies, rivers, etc. I find it sort of an oxymoron to request all municipal units to do district-wide planning for protecting water courses, but then they are willing to issue quarry and mining operations within the watershed area that we are asking or being asked to protect. There has not been meaningful consultation with the public or First Nations. Our current fire marshal's office does not have the ability to police or enforce the National Building Code and have passed this responsibility mostly off to the municipalities. So, how do they expect the Department of Natural Resources or the Department of Labor to enforce mining regulations? I'm just going to leave it at that. But I will be supporting the motion because we want the people who are going to be affected allowed to have input. I think that the province is moving much too fast. Thank you for the ability to speak.
Councillor Reinhardt.
Thank you. I won't speak for too long because it's going to be an echo of a lot of what's already been said. I'm in support of the motion, and I'm very thankful to the people who came out tonight to speak and to summarize many of the mountain of evidence showing that there's a right to be concerned about this happening in our backyards. Regardless of anyone's personal feelings on the industry, I think the fact is that the process is moving way too fast, and there hasn't been any time for any meaningful consultation, discussion, or research. I would like to, one thing that struck me when I was preparing for this meeting was the fact that's been brought up that there hasn't been any consultation with First Nations. And it just made me think about how we come here every week and we do a land acknowledgement at the beginning of every meeting. And here's an opportunity for us to back that up with some action. So I think we need to do that. There are so many questions that I don't have answers to. How will our freshwater be protected if this goes ahead? How does heavy rainfall events, how does that affect the safety of mining? And is there even a market for this? Is another question, that a lot of this damage could be done from exploration and mining, and there may actually not be a big payoff at the end of it. So I think we just need more time, a lot more time. So thank you.
Councillor Moore.
Thank you. Well, I'm not as well versed as some people, but I will be supporting the motion. Allison has been really spearheaded this in our area, and she has kept me informed. I've done some research and stuff and listened to information that Allison has given me. And she also reminded me tonight that in 2008 that I voted against uranium mining. And that was my first and my second term, so I really don't remember. But if I think it was bad then, it's bad now. So, we've got really good people in this audience tonight, and that know their area, that know their people. I'm disappointed in the provincial government for trying to, might as well say, shove it down our throats. And it's a very serious issue, and I will be supporting the motion.
Councillor Burns.
Thank you. I'll also be quite quick here. What struck me about this, and I do this sometimes, I reach out to a cross-section of residents I have in my district who I know have different opinions from each other and sometimes from me. And for the first time as a councillor in a united voice, the only thing I heard from my residents was, we are scared of this, we don't want this, and why is this being jammed down our throats? And with that in mind, tonight I'm very happy to vote in favor of the motion and look forward to an opportunity to perhaps take a stronger stand on this. And I know that the vast majority of my residents would be looking forward to the same.
Deputy Mayor Vino.
So Nova Scotia has the perfect geological environment for uranium deposits. That's what you get when you put in Google. And what I want to say is that's nice, but we also have lakes and rivers and streams, and our environment, we want to keep it that way. Did I scare you for a second? No, I've gone down the rabbit hole I've gone down the mining hole over the last week, and I'm much more confident talking about it today than I was a week ago. And when Premier Houston raised the idea of reconsidering the province's ban on uranium exploration, the suggestion has left some people scratching their heads, to put it mildly. And the decision to lift the ban has been met with criticism from my own residents, First Nations, and some municipalities about the potential on the environment and public health. I think you're about to see a lot more, Premier Houston. So I'll leave it at Houston. We have a problem.
Councillor Smith, and then we're going to have a vote.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that when in the motion, when I say that municipal council request that we write a letter,
Yeah.
the request comes in a form of a letter.
Yeah.
Is that clear to everybody?
And that letter will go tomorrow.
As soon as
Yes.
possible, because the RFPs close tomorrow.
Yeah, it will be delivered tomorrow. You've had the motion, we've had a good discussion, and are all those in favor of support of the motion, please signify by raising their hands. Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, Councillor Smith. You presented a very compelling presentation, and I appreciate that very much on behalf of council. So we will move on our agenda. We'll go back to the format as it's presented in the agenda, which is from the Finance Committee, and that's late applications for our annual operating grant. And this, the next number of items we're going to deal with were discussed at previous meetings, and I'm going to refer those in the discussion so that if people want to go back and hear the full discussion at council, because tonight we'll just be dealing with the motions. This report comes from June 3rd Finance Committee, and it's some referrals. And I would ask someone to make the motion as it relates to the awarding of funds for the Lunenburg Dock Fest Association. Would someone make that motion? Councillor Reinhardt?
To Mayor McLean Weil and members of council, I move that municipal council accept the recommendation of the Finance Committee and award the Lunenburg Dock Fest Association $650 from the annual operating grant fund. And I so move.
And a seconder for the motion? Councillor Burns. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by raising their hand. Motion is carried. Motion is carried unanimously. And the second recommendation from Finance Committee relates to the South Shore Fieldhouse and their annual operating grant. Would someone make that motion, please? Councillor Oikel, thank you.
To Mayor McLean Weil and members of council, I move that municipal council accept the recommendation of the Finance Committee and award the South Shore Fieldhouse $2,625 from the annual operating grant fund, and I so move.
A seconder for the motion, seconded by Councillor Burns. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by raising their hands. Motion is carried unanimously. The next agenda item is the Fire and Emergency Services Committee and the reappointment of fire services members. This came to us referred from their April 4th meeting, and we do have a motion 10.2.1. If someone would make that motion, please. Councillor Bell?
To Mayor McLean Weil and members of council, I move that municipal council accept the recommendation of the Fire and Emergency Services Committee and reappoint the following fire services representatives to the Fire and Emergency Services Committee for a one-year term. Brian Kaiser, District 1 and 2 Fire Commission. Chief Darren Mullig of the Northfield and District Fire Department. Deputy Chief Dean Smicer from the Dayspring and District Volunteer Fire Department. Captain Emily Bowers from the Hebville Fire Department. I so move.
Is there a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Reinhardt. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by raising their hand. Those opposed, motion is carried. We'll move to the nominating committee, and I'm going to ask Councillor Oikel. This is referrals from the May 27th meeting.
With myself being in the first motion, is it all right for me to make it? Yeah,
I'm
okay.
seeing nods from the
All right. Just making
Parliamentarians
sure,
here.
Just making sure. To Mayor McLean Weil and members of council, I move that municipal council accept the recommendation of the nominating committee and appoint Councillor Wendy Oikel as the temporary alternate council representative to the LCLC, and I so move.
And a seconder for the motion, seconded by Deputy Mayor Vino. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising their hand. Motion is carried unanimously.
Would you like me to continue on?
Please, thank you.
To Mayor McLean Weil and members of council, I move that municipal council accept the recommendation of the nominating committee and appoint Councillor Allison Smith as the temporary council representative to the Planning Advisory Committee, and I so move.
And a seconder for the motion, seconded by Councillor Bell. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising their hand. Motion is carried unanimously.
Yeah, no, we're not doing,
Yeah. And the next motion as it relates to the Regional Growth Management Committee. Would you make that motion, Councillor Oikel?
oh, okay, thank you. That To Mayor McLean Weil and members of council, I move that municipal council accept the recommendation of the nominating committee and appoint Councillor Martin Bell as the alternate council representative to the Regional Growth Management Committee for the term ending November 2025, and I so move.
And a seconder for the committee, or for the motion? Counselor Moore. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by raising their hand. Motion is carried unanimously. We'll move on to staff reports from the Administration Department, and we will welcome Gabe Welsh from the MJSB to present on extended producer responsibility.
Thank you. Excuse me. I don't have to turn that on, right? It's on? Okay. It's not too often I'm too tall for something, so. Thank you. I'm Gabe Welsh, the Director of Waste Management for the Municipal Joint Services Board. If you'll recall, back in March, we presented to you on EPR for, extended producer responsibility for paper and plastic packaging. So a quick refresher, in summer of 2003, EPR was announced for Nova Scotia. It's already in effect throughout most of Canada. And what it does is it transfers the responsibility of for the recycling of these products from the municipalities to the producers. Circular Materials, who you'll hear me refer to during this, is the producer responsibility organization who will be looking after that. So since then, we've been working with Circular Materials and the regional chairs to navigate the transition on behalf of all the Municipal Joint Services Board partners. And as I said, in March, we came to you to give you an update on the contract negotiations. So essentially, we're at that point now where you have two choices to make. One is to either opt into the, or to choose the opt-in service model, in which case you'll continue to offer the collection service and receive compensation for that. So all residential collection of your recycling materials will be covered off in this offer. And this allows you to provide a continuation of the integrated waste management system that's currently in place. So you're not looking at separate collection on a different day for recycling or anything like that. We keep it all together and under control. The other choice would be to opt out, which would mean you say, okay, we're not dealing with this anymore. Circular Materials, you look after this and you don't retain the control over how that's collected or the dates or anything like that. So we do have to provide written confirmation. They've given us a June 20th deadline that was pushed back from earlier deadlines due to some of the complications that we brought up in the March presentation. And they're still targeting a rollout date of December 1st, 2025 for the new program. So we had indicated in March we would recommend opting in pending the resolution of a few key issues around indemnification, insurance, and small ICI collection. So all the clauses regarding indemnification and insurance that raised concerns were addressed. They've been reviewed by legal counsel and the insurance by our insurance providers. So there's no longer any concerns there. The concerns around the small ICI collection, industrial, commercial, and institutional collection, were that they didn't want those products commingling with your residential collection. So the things from the fire halls and community centers and small things like that. So we actually had a working group meeting with Circular Materials and the other municipalities in the province this morning. They've confirmed now that with that they've gained alignment with Divert Nova Scotia, who is the administrator of these requirements, related to ICI collection, and rather than have us forced to put on, say, a separate collection for these materials, we'll be able to deal with it in an administrative manner. So we'll identify how many how many ICI units are being picked up in the current curbside collection, and deal with it on the back end rather than disrupting anything at the curb. Their intent's to capture this through a separate statement of work from the original, and we should have that by the end of June. So in the memo that we sent in, we've presented a motion that kind of allows us to continue to represent you in the negotiations and finalize the details, and we'll see you fully compensated for the residential collection costs and keeping it all together with your garbage and compost as well. That's all I had for presentation. Happy to take any questions.
I think it would be best if we put the motion on the floor, and then if there's questions related to that, we can deal with that, okay? Would someone make put the motion on the floor? It's motion 11.1.1. Deputy Mayor Vino, thank you.
To Mayor McLean Weil and members of council, I move that Municipal Council authorize MGSB, Municipal Joint Services Board, staff to finalize agreements with Circular Materials based on the opt-in service model under Extended Producer Responsibility Regulations, and further authorize the District of Lunenburg CAO and the Municipal Joint Services Board COO to execute the contract with Circular Materials, and I so move.
Is there a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Burns. Now, is there discussion, questions related to this? I think you made it very clear that the issues that were outstanding were addressed. So around indemnification, particularly I think the really big issue was the industrial commercial collection and how that's going to be handled. Anything anyone wants to ask? Okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented indicate by raising their hands. Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, Gabe.
Thank you.
We will move to 11.1.2, which is second reading and repeal and replace bylaw 013, capital cost recovery charges for water systems. And this was discussed at our May 27th council meeting. Is that correct? May 27th? That doesn't sound right. Yes, it was. We had first reading. So we do have a motion, 11.1.2. If someone would care to put that on the floor, please, for discussion. Councillor Oikel?
To Mayor McLean Weil, members of council, I move that Municipal Council conduct second reading and repeal and replace the January 25th, 2011 bylaw with the new bylaw 013, capital cost recovery for water systems as presented, and I so move.
Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Moore. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye, or raising their hands, please. We don't say aye. Motion is carried unanimously. All right. We are at Cell Service Advocacy. Our Director of Communications, Sarah. Thank you.
Manager, but thank you for the upgrade. I'll take it. That's okay. I am plugged into this one, yes. Oh, there we go. Okay, good evening, Council. I'm just here to give you a brief overview of the cell service marketing campaign that we have in market right now. You will have received an email last week, but I want to just highlight it and bring it to your attention, especially for our viewers watching at home on our live stream. So we know we have significant cell service issues in our municipality. However, it appears that the province is not as well informed as us and our residents. The province has a survey open right now asking all residents to mark on a map where they see problems in their area. And I'm going to just show you real quick what that map looks like. It's very easy to use. It is not 100% operational on every single browser on every single device. So we do get feedback occasionally in our Facebook posts that I couldn't get it to work. It's not helpful, but we have an alternative link where they can just submit an address form. But basically you can move it around and move this pin and drop it different places. And then right at the bottom, you can offer your cell service provider name. You don't even have to include that, and fill out a CAPTCHA to ensure that people aren't spamming it by bots. But it's very easy. It's like 3 clicks and you can submit your location on this. So we're trying to bring more awareness to this campaign that the province has and to their survey, and stepping up to do that to ensure that our residents are aware of this campaign and aware of this survey. We know that poor cell service affects all aspects of life in the municipality. It affects emergency responders who are concerned about receiving the calls and then being able to coordinate responding to those calls. It affects businesses who, don't get calls from their potential customers, from their partners, or may choose not to open in areas where there's poor cell service. So we know that we need a good response to the survey to make sure that we're being considered in decision-making by the province. So our goal is to increase that local participation, and this was identified in your strategic priority setting as a central pillar under regional economic development. So we have a couple of different ways we're looking to get the word out. Facebook is one of the highest priority spaces. It's where people are already online on their phone or on their laptop or device. So we have some Facebook ads running to grab attention. There's a Your Voice Matters slogan, and that's what we're asking people to do, is click through and fill out that survey. We're also using our digital media. So our email, which is sent out to roughly 1,400 residents every single month, called the District of Lunenburg Digest. So we'll have a promo in the next issue of that. And as long as that survey is open, which unfortunately the province will not give me an end date to the survey, so I check it every morning as my first task of the day to make sure it's still live. They have said it's likely to be open for a while. But as long as that survey is still open, we will still promote it in our emails. And then the website as well. So if you go to modal.ca, it is the main image is driving residents to click, and it takes them directly to the survey. We're also promoting this in print with an easily scannable QR code for those who know how to use it, and it will drive people. So we're using the South Shore Bulletin predominantly for this ad. We've also got a postcard coming. It's not going to go direct mail to all residents, although council could certainly direct us to do that. That is significantly more expensive than other forms of reach, but you will be provided as councillors with postcards, and we're going to give them out to everyone who comes into the building over the next month or so. Then we've got a radio ad that should be running by the end of this week. We know CKBW has very strong listenership in our area, so we've got a quick, short post on there. It says, "Can't get a signal when you need it most. The province wants to hear from you. Take this short survey. Visit modal.ca." Very simple, very easy to remember to do in the moment or when you get home. And then, of course, we've got some advocacy options here. So the mayor will be requesting meetings with local MLAs to raise those service gap issues. Also reach out to the minister responsible for Build Nova Scotia, which is the department leading this program, and staff, where appropriate, will connect with the appropriate and relevant departmental staff. And then we expect to talk to neighboring municipalities to look at potential to build that regional support and coordination. I believe you guys talked today about the regional intermunicipal communication or corporation that you're working on. So we're going to leverage groups like that to have these conversations. Do you have any questions about the campaign? You intend to share it widely, I hope. I have seen some of the councillors sharing it already. So.
We really do need, as councillors and myself as mayor, to really push this out. And Councillor Smith.
Yeah, so at FCM, I took some communications workshops and stuff and wasn't completely sure how to integrate them. But one of the things that they mentioned over and over was video. And also just like a comment, like cell service is something that you know, young people can really get on board with, you know, wanting to improve self-service in their neighborhoods. And I'm just wondering if there's a place to do, you know, and it, like, it doesn't even have to be like incredibly high
Sure.
production video
Yeah.
for maybe counselors or the mayor.
You know what? It's funny you mentioned that because we literally just posted
Okay.
a video tonight, not on
Okay.
self-service advocacy. We have a little list, we have a little queue, but we did a video tonight on the Cookville sewer wastewater treatment expansion because we know council's been getting lots of questions about that.
Okay.
So Elspeth interviewed Stephen Pace, our Director of Engineering. So that video went up tonight. We're going to do another video on a different park issue on Thursday, but next week, I think Elspeth and I will connect and do a self-service video. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I appreciate that reminder.
I had it on my list, Allison.
And I promise you, the production value just really isn't going to be great, because it's just myself and the mayor in her office usually, but we do our best.
But I mean, if I could suggest, like,
Yeah.
some counselors, like, from their different areas
Yeah.
could also, like, say, you know, go out on a road that
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
has really poor self-service and say, hey, I'm out here, I can't get self-service. Have you
Mm-hmm.
checked out, you know, this campaign we're doing, and have you?
I love
Anyway.
that. It's called guerrilla marketing, and it's great.
Yeah, as we drive around, going to things, we can tell where the service is and really stop and do a little short video on it, so. I think if you go to the Build Nova Scotia site, you will find that Lunenburg County is not listed on any place there where work is being done or proposed. So in western Nova Scotia, it goes all the way on the western, on the French shore, Yarmouth, Argyle are all included. Nothing here. We're not listed at all. So this is, I don't know why nobody thinks we have problems, but we're going to let them know that we have problems. And this has been a common thing. We heard it. I know you all heard it. We said it as part of our economic developments within that as one of the strategies of things we had to deal with. So I thank you for what you've put together, and we'll look forward to the work ahead on this. Any other questions people have? Okay, we'll move on from that. We'll go to Planning Services Department. Are you coming back to do a little bit of a summary, or do we just go right to the motion? If you want to go right to the motion. I think we'll go right to the motion. I think we should do that. So if someone would like to bring forward the motion 11.2.1, which relates to the development on McCullough Road, and Councillor Burns is declaring a conflict of interest and will step away from the table for that. Would someone, Councillor Bell, thank you.
To Mayor McLean-Weil and members of council, I move that municipal council enter into a development agreement with Jalen Enterprises Limited for the proposed land lease cluster development on lot FE1 McCullough Road, PID number 607-09383. I so move.
Is there a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Moore. For those in the gallery that joined us, we did have a public hearing on this. We've had first reading, public hearing. So this is, we're nearing the end of the consideration, just so you're wondering what we're doing here. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by raising their hand. Motion is carried unanimously. If we could move to 11.2.2, which is second reading, the amendments to Osprey Village Secondary Planning Strategy and Land Use Bylaw. And again, we had a public hearing on this earlier today, and don't think we need to add anything to the discussion. If someone would propose the motion, I would appreciate that. No, there's one motion. 11.2.1, or .2. Councillor Moore.
Oh, you go. No.
Go ahead, Councillor
There's so
Moore.
few of us, we're fighting over the motions, oh my goodness.
There's enough of them tonight.
The Mayor McLean-Weil and members of council, I move that the municipal council conduct second reading to bylaw 020G, amendments to Osprey Village Secondary Planning Strategy 2025, and bylaw 021I, amendments to the Osprey Village Land Use Bylaw 2025, and adopt the amendments as presented. And I so move.
A seconder? Counselor Oikle, thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion? Counselor Smith?
I just wanted to ask if, like, the concerns that were raised by the CSAP, have we communicated back to them what, and is everything, do they feel their concerns have been addressed?
So I guess our initial communication with them started at the point of, following the public information session back in February. Their initial response was a letter very similar to the one that was included in the agenda for today. And I had a short meeting with them, explained the situation. I clarified a couple of things to them, that the only area that would be rezoned to general commercial would be the vacant municipal lot. Their concerns still do stand, but if you would like, I can maybe clarify some of the things here, if some of the councillors would be interested. Yeah.
You should clarify, yes.
Okay. So just to summarize the contents of the letter that was received by them, this is following a meeting with them. Their concerns are two things mainly. One is that opening up the possibility of having commercial uses near the school itself. So the Area 2, that's being proposed to be amended from institutional to general commercial, is adjacent to where the school's property currently is. And so opening up the potential of having commercial uses near the school, the school was concerned that it may present a risk to student safety. There wasn't really any specific specifications of how this would present risk to student safety. The second was that concerns around the zone change from institutional to general commercial for this specific property would limit the school's ability to expand in the future, as the school is currently at capacity. However, we did clarify to them, and they know this as well, that the province has selected a separate property for them to potentially expand in the future. It's a separate property adjacent to the school. We did clarify that the only area to be rezoned would be that rectangular property that's owned by the municipality, as well as uses listed in the general commercial zone include all uses permitted in the institutional zone. So we're not taking away the possibility of any institutional use to happen on that vacant lot if any kind of proposal were to come forward in the future. The general commercial zone also requires that any drinking establishment use is required to be at least 500 meters away from any institutional use in that whole area, as well as I actually have the permitted uses in the general commercial zone listed here. So lots within the general commercial zone, the following uses are permitted: retail use, office use, food establishment use, subject to being 500 meters away from a structure within an institutional use. A drinking establishment use would be permitted as long as it's 500 meters away. Short-term rental uses are permitted. Bakery, craft and creative, and printing establishment uses are permitted. Commercial uses such as adult entertainment, wholesale, warehousing, and vehicle sale uses are not permitted in the general commercial zone. Residential uses are permitted, and all uses permitted in the institutional zones are permitted within the general commercial zone. So we believe that it's still relatively restrictive. it wouldn't pose risk to student safety. Also considering that there are commercial uses within Osprey Village, such as like the Walmart, the Canadian Tire. We believe that the property is far enough from the school. The part that is adjacent to the school isn't substantial enough that if any proposal in the future that is commercial were to be placed there, that it would pose any risk to student safety. And as mentioned earlier, there is a large piece of property selected by the province that the school can expand in the future as well. So we do believe that these concerns are addressed. The school board did decide to go forward with still submitting their concerns in the letter. But yeah, we do believe that their concerns should be addressed. Thank you.
Okay. It's okay. Any further questions or discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by raising their hand. Motion is, could you raise your hands again? Those opposed? Councillor Burns? No?
I can't vote because I was late.
Oh, that's right.
to the
I'm
public
sorry.
hearing.
Yes,
So
I'm
just,
sorry.
Not opposed by
Yes.
any means, just
You weren't
cannot
here.
vote. So I
can't
don't
vote.
know if that has to be in the
Okay.
minutes, but thank you.
Yeah, I was going, why is he not voting? Yeah. Okay. The motion is, the motion is carried. Thank you. We have a lot of motions tonight. We will move now to our Recreation, Parks, and Tourism 11.3 on our agenda, which is the South Shore Genealogical Society. And I'm not sure, Trudy, are you going to introduce our guests? Thank you.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. Before I introduce our guest, I just want to give a little bit of background for councillors to understand why the South Shore Genealogical Society is here this evening. So if council can recall, some of you may, in January of 2024, two residents who were with us this evening, Betty Rodenheiser and Yvonne Rafuse, came to council with concerns about the Hillside Cemetery, specifically around the commemorative plaque and interpretive signs at Hillside Cemetery. Based on the research that they had conducted, they questioned whether the number of residents of the Lunenburg Municipal Hospital was accurate, and where they were buried, the name of the institution, and the timeframes of those burials. So during that time frame, we did confirm that the name of the institution was the hospital. But one of the motions that came before council in June of 2024 was to ask council to have the South Shore Genealogical Society do a review of the research that was conducted by Ms. Rodenheiser and Ms. Rafuse, and if the South Shore Genealogical Society deemed that their research was sufficient, was accurate, then. And if they were going to adopt that research, then the municipality would as well. So we reached out to the South Shore Genealogical Society, who agreed to conduct that review. We have with us this evening Fawn Creaser and Stephen Ernst, and I believe Stephen was the researcher, and he's going to be speaking to the process that he used and how he came to the determination. I won't reveal his secrets. I won't get into what's in the report. And so that was the first part of the motion of council. And if the research is verified, council had made a decision to include in the budget adequate funds to change the plaque that's on the stone at the Hillside Cemetery with up-to-date, accurate information, and to change the interpretive signage. Funds have been allocated in the operating budget for that, and funds are in the capital budget with council's direction around some type of monument, but research has to be done and outreach has to be done to family members to see if they would want to have the names on that monument. That was the direction when we were going through the capital budget. So I just want to give a little bit of a background before Stephen and Fawn come up to present their research. And tonight is really about information. It's not, there's not any decision being asked because that decision had been made previously through the budget process. So if you guys would come on down, like The Price is Right, that would be.
I will move this up a little bit. There we are. Yeah, maybe a lot, exactly. Thank you, Mayor McLean, while council, staff. I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak to you tonight. As Ms. Payne had mentioned, my name is Stephen Ernst. I'm the Vice President of the South Shore Genealogical Society. I am joined by our President, Fawn Creaser, as well as Ms. Rodenizer and Ms. Rayfuse, who really got the ball rolling on this project for the Hillside Cemetery at the former Lunenburg County home site, today known as the Mark. So following Council's decision earlier this winter in February of this year, the South Shore Genealogical Society was contacted to verify the research that had been previously done, and I took on that, that project. The main thing was, as Ms. Payne had just mentioned, verifying the names. There were a few numbers going around. The long-standing number of supposed burials at Hillside Cemetery for many years was around the 188 point. Ms. Rodenizer and Ms. Rayfuse brought that number up to about 205, and it was just a matter of trying to verify those names and those numbers. So to begin, I went through, we have at the Genealogical Society these two binders. These are photocopied records of the original books from the Lunenburg County home, which I do believe the originals are still in the possession of Modal at the Mark. These are straight photocopies of the originals, the first book starting from 1904 to 1959, and then the second one going from 1959 to the end days of the home in the late 1970s. So we began by going through these, verifying them against other government and other records of the time, and then just verifying it with the information that Ms. Rodenizer and Ms. Rayfuse had also come up with. And we discovered that the 188 number was certainly out of the question. The 205 number was even iffy. Looking at further records and information available at the South Shore Genealogical Society, as well as other government records held at the Nova Scotia Archives in Halifax, the number has now been brought up to 230, and it is my strong belief that there are more. Many records have been lost, destroyed, any number of manner happening to them. So what we have now are the 230 names that I and the South Shore Genealogical Society strongly feel is the most accurate number we can get for the burials at Hillside Cemetery. It is a little tricky. The number system that is up there right now only goes up to 170, but that system, from my research, I believe only began around 1913, whereas the home opened in 1889, so a lot of the records have just been omitted in that time. But to go through what I looked at, I went through local church records, scanned pretty much every one, mainly being St. Matthew's Anglican in Upper LaHave. It was the handiest church to the site of the home, so it was the one that was often called on for burials when needed. But several of the churches here in Bridgewater, going as far as Pleasantville, had entries in their records. Again, those that are existent, some of these church records have been lost or destroyed over the years, which is why I strongly believe there are more that just cannot be found today. I also went through the vital statistic records at the Nova Scotia Archives. Those were an invaluable help, but again, they only stretch back as far as 1908. So that period of 1889 to 1908, I had to find some more creative ways to define some of the names. Newspapers oftentimes referenced or noted the deaths in the community. I was able to verify many of these through that. as well as a few other sources. But again, it is the strong belief of the Genealogical Society that this number of 230 is as complete a number as we can find with the exhaustion of the records that are available to us today. And it is my strong belief, and I believe I speak for Ms. Rodenizer and Ms. Rayfuse as well, that we are hopeful that something can be placed permanently or semi-permanently on the site to either with the names, if families can be reached and permission can be granted, that these names be made available to anybody who goes to that site. I trust many of you have seen the Hillside Cemetery. It's a beautiful little patch on the top of the hill with a lovely view of the river. And save for 4 stones that are there, there are no names, just numbered markers that denote the burials that take place there. And it's our strong hope that those names, these were people who lived in this community, worked in this community, and looking through these, the records that were written are very sympathetic and very interesting to read. They were treated as people, and they were people, and there's some wonderful stories in here. The husband and wife who both stayed at the county home, who died within 2 weeks of each other. They actually have tombstones up there. They have fallen over since in recent time, but they are there. You know, the complete life cycle. The youngest burial there was an infant who lived 1 hour. The oldest made it over a century. So there's just, it's an incredible cross-section of humanity, I guess is an easy way to put it. So it is our hope that something be done. But I certainly want to take this opportunity and thank Modal for going this far with it. At least we have some more information than we did at the beginning of this year. And I certainly hope that this can be continued on with. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Well, just before we open it up for questions, I want to thank you for the detailed work that you added to the work of Ms. Rayfuse and Ms. Rodenizer, because they brought it to council and have been very diligent in supporting our doing something. These were residents that were entrusted to the care of the municipality.
Absolutely.
So this, many years later, it seems appropriate. It seems incumbent on us to recognize that they were in our care and they should be recognized in some way.
Absolutely.
And the name does that, as long as we can get permission from families to do that.
Of course.
My question, just to get it started, was if we are putting some kind of general interpretive panel there, or even the paneling that might end up on the monument itself, would it be appropriate to say that the research has indicated in some way we would write this, 230 names have been, documented, identified, yet there is some sense that there's more because of records not being kept, that there is a recognition that 230 is the documented number, but there were others.
Yes, I would strongly suggest that that is a minimum number, and at 230 with the strong possibility that there are more, yes.
Okay. Questions from councillors? This was for information tonight. It'll come back. We have it in our budget to do something here, and this was the first step. Ms. Payne, do you want to speak to it first? And then we'll go to Deputy Mayor Vino.
I do want to clarify that something was done in 2019, that there is an interpretive panel that gives some history. And so obviously the dates and perhaps the numbers of the burials would need to be changed and altered. And there is a nice stone that has a commemorative plaque as well. So that would need to be updated. But I did want to stress that this journey has been, it started a while ago, and then council did make the decision in 2018, and we had the official ribbon cutting in 2019. So now we have more information in our arsenal to make the changes on the interpretive panel in the commemorative stone, and where the monument goes from here, we'll see. Stay tuned.
Deputy Mayor Vino.
I don't have a question, more so a comment, and that is again to appreciate the work that has gone into this. And when I was reading the council agenda package a few days ago, and I seen your name tied to this report, I knew it was going to be a good one, because not only do you have the passion, but you have a skill set that is so valuable to Lunenburg County, and I think that speaks to, speaks to your knowledge on it. So thank you for working with this organization and bringing this information forward.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor.
Any questions? Councillor Smith.
I just wanted to, echoing the deputy mayor, thank you for your care on this. And my mother grew up from an institution like this, in Middlefield in Queens County. And so when I was growing up, I heard lots of stories about how that institution was part of the community, and I just think it's really great that you're taking such care with people's names and marking their passing and bringing those stories to the community. So thanks.
Thank you, and I do want to stress there's a lot of stigma about these places. I found no evidence of poor treatment or of anything untoward. Many of the deaths that have been recorded in these, the people writing it would have been the superintendent of the home at the time, went to great lengths to write a couple lines about the person. There are some wonderful instances throughout this book of, just the personalities of the people that they're writing about, how they were a joy, how they were many times because the cemetery was just in the backyard of the home, how many of the residents would attend the services, and they would pull what meager things they had together to have a small arrangement of flowers. And so it is really quite heartwarming to read some of these stories. So thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
And thank you to Yvonne Rayfuse and Betty Rodenizer. Move on in our agenda, and there are a number of motions related to major event grant applications, so I'm not sure who's coming forward. Ms. Walwyn. Ruth?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you is a report regarding a major event grant application submitted by Lunenburg County Pride for Pride Week 2025. This takes place from July 5th to the 12th and is an 8-day event that includes a variety of activities for diverse 2S LGBTQIA+ demographics and attracts approximately 2,000 participants. Lunenburg County Pride requested $19,990 in funding through the major event grant, and based on our review of the event's budget, expected attendance, economic impact, and our goal to balance funding across other events throughout the year, staff recommend approving funding in the amount of $4,000.
Could we have the motion put on the floor, and then we can, any discussion related to it? It's motion 11.3.2. Councillor Reinhardt.
To Mayor McLean-Weil and members of council, I move that Municipal Council approve the major event grant funding application from Lunenburg County Pride in the amount of $4,000 for Pride Week 2025. And I so move.
Is there a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Burns. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by raising their hand. Motion is carried unanimously.
Okay, the next report you have in front of you is in regards to an application filed by the town of Bridgewater for a major event grant for their Canada Day on the Lahave. This event takes place July 1st and features a multicultural festival and an all-ages kitchen party taking place at the LCLC. The town of Bridgewater requested $3,000 in funding through the major event grant, and after evaluating the event's financial details, projected participation, and overall economic impact. We are recommending approval in the amount of $2,000.
Councillor Bell.
To Mayor McLean Weil and members of council, I move that the municipal council approve a major event grant funding application from the town of Bridgewater in the amount of $2,000 for the 2025 Canada Day on the La Have event. I so move.
Is there a seconder for the motion? Seconded by Councillor Moore. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by raising their hand. Motion is carried unanimously.
The next recommendation pertains to a major event grant application submitted by the New Germany Canada Day Committee for the new Canada Day celebrations held in New Germany on July 1st. This event draws approximately 2,000 attendees over the course of the day and features a range of activities as detailed in the report submitted. The New Germany Canada Day Committee requested $5,000 in funding through the major event grant, and after evaluating the event's financials, expected turnout, and the overall impact, staff recommend approving the funding in the amount of $2,500.
And I should say that Councillor Moore has declared a conflict of interest on this, has stepped away. Would someone put the motion on the floor? Deputy Mayor Vino.
Thank you. To Mayor McLean Weil and members of council, I move that municipal council approve the major event grant funding application from the New Germany Canada Day Committee in the amount of $2,500 for the 2025 Canada Day in New Germany event, and I so move.
Seconded by Councillor Smith. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising their hand. Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. We'll now move to 11.4, which is economic development, and 11.4.1, which is financial support for Bridgewater Market expansion feasibility study. Mr. Strickland, Mark, please. Mark.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to present the staff report on the financial support for the Bridgewater Farmers Market expansion feasibility study. The Bridgewater Farmers Market has been in operation for over 15 years. It has over 100 registered vendors with an average of 28 actively participating each day. Currently, the market runs from Mother's Day until Christmas on Saturdays. The market is housed at the former Bridgewater Memorial Arena. Most of the vendors set up in outdoor booths. Currently, there's approximately 14 booths for vendors in a small unrenovated indoor space. The Bridgewater Farmers Market rents the spaces for $3,500 a year, including utilities from the town of Bridgewater, and it has a 3-year lease which ends the end of 2025. The Bridgewater Farmers Market plays a key role in regional enhanced food security, supporting the livelihoods of farmers and artisans across the South Shore, acting as a draw for tourism and local businesses, fostering a culture of buy local, which contributes to building a more self-reliant local economy. The market sees an opportunity for growth, and they're seeking to do a feasibility study for an expansion of a year-round location for the Bridgewater Farmers Market, and to look at all options, including significant renovations at the existing location and/or development of an alternative site. The plan will provide the Bridgewater Farmer Market and its partners, the town of Bridgewater, the municipality district of Lunenburg, with enough information to determine a path forward. The purposeful group was selected to perform the Bridgewater Farmers Market expansion feasibility study, and it has a proposed sharing cost to finance the study, with ACOA contributing $22,670, Bridgewater Farmers Market contributing $1,874, the municipality district of Lunenburg $3,500. In addition, the town of Bridgewater has contributed considerably to enabling the project to be below market rental rates, professional advice, and planned pre-paving of the Bridgewater Farmers Market site. There's also going to be established an advisory group for this study. So the budget implications are going to be $3,500 for us, for the Bridgewater, for the study, under the approved 25-26 operating budget and special projects under economic development. Our strategic focus, financial support for the Bridgewater Farmers Market expansion feasibility study aligns with Municipal Council's strategic priorities of regional economic development. This will help the citizens of Lunenburg County access more local food, as well as give local food producers within the region opportunities to grow their business. Our work plan is the economic development staff will fully support the study and financially, will support the studies financially and be a part of the advisory group. In conclusion, contributing $3,500 towards the Bridgewater Farmers Market expansion feasibility study will support regional economic development with local producers and the general public, creating more capacity to buy local.
Okay, could we have the motion on the floor, and then we can go to any questions related to that? The motion is 11.4.1. If someone would put that on the, Councillor Smith.
To Mayor McLean Weil and members of council, I move that municipal council approve $3,500 for the Bridgewater Farmers Market expansion feasibility study, and further that the money come from the approved economic development budget. I so move.
And a seconder for the motion. Seconded by Councillor Reinhardt. Are there questions or discussion? Councillor Oikel and then Councillor Moore.
So I'm certainly am in support of this, having the feasibility study, because many of our residents go to this market, but they're also people that are that are selling at the market. I'm very disappointed in the town of Bridgewater because they're only contributing what they've already been doing. They've already been helping with the rent below market, giving them professional advice, planning to repave the
Parking lot.
parking lot, right. And that has nothing to do with the feasibility study, right? And so I have to, on the record, really say that I'm very disappointed with the town of Bridgewater in that regard. And I just wanted to have that said.
Councillor Moore.
Thank you. Am I correct in, no, when you say proposed cost-sharing model, that ACOA's funds are already in place?
They are.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. When I seen this on the agenda, I kind of flinched a little bit, thinking, okay, what's north of the 103 going to think with its markets and roadside stands? And then I talked to somebody that a few people that I really respect, and they said, do you know, I don't get to the farmer's market in Bridgewater because I'm usually working. And they said, do you know how many people from Lunenburg County, not just in town of Bridgewater, but Lunenburg County, attend that market as a vendor? And so I went looking. And then I went looking closer to see how many of those vendors were even from mine and Allison's district. And I was very impressed. So then I thought about it and I thought, yeah. But I am also yes, I will support the motion, but I am disappointed with the town of Bridgewater. I think that we're trying to move forward and working together, and as I see it, working together is kind of like, I won't go any further. Thank you.
Other comments or discussion? Councillor Bell.
I will be supporting the motion because I think it's important for us to be working with the neighboring municipality. I did find it interesting, though, reading in the agenda, that the report also leaves open the opportunity of leaving the arena to another location when there was another location presented to them a year ago that didn't want to be considered. However, that's water under the bridge. I want to move forward, but I just wanted to note that because I think that cooperating with an existing farmer's market where I myself have gone to it, I know people from my community has, and I'm not aware of anybody that is a vendor from my district, but may very well be. I just want to see this succeed. There is money from other sources. We need to be part of it.
Any other discussion? The motion has been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by raising their hands. Motion is carried unanimously. We are now at mayors, deputy mayors, and councillor matters. The deputy mayor and I had a little conflab before the meeting and both agreed that we're going to defer our reports, given that we have more to discuss in camera and it is an evening meeting. Both of us were at Federation of Canadian Municipalities, and so we will be tabling a full report at the next council meeting in 2 weeks. So there's lots of reporting to come, but we're going to defer it for tonight. So that brings us to the end of the regular agenda items. So we need a motion to move in camera, and we will take a 5-minute break and then come back. So could we have a motion moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Oikel? All those in favor signify by raising their hand. Motion is carried unanimously. We will move in camera.